Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Conversations That Matter. We're coming to you from Paradiso Integrale here in Umbria, Italy. And I'm Mark Davenport. I read that, so it must be right. Mark Davenport. I'm here with the driving force and partner behind these efforts.
Heidi Hörnlein or
Yeah.
Adelheid Hörnlein in my birth name.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll meet our two unique guests right after Heidi offers a couple words about the best way to watch the show.
Yeah, normally our show is in our website, thewisdomfactory.net, live streaming. And this is also today, but we don't have the comments working today, at least not on my computer. So I opened the comment stream on YouTube. And if you want to write your comments, go to YouTube and write it there. And I try to monitor that.
How do they find it on YouTube?
By clicking on that on the wisdomfactory.net live streaming, and there is underneath a little thing, and it's YouTube, and then they go there.
She's the techie one, you know. Okay.
He doesn't know that, so.
But thank you anyway, Heidi. And now to our guests. First,
rising consciousness through nature is our topic, by the way.
All right. Yes. Rising consciousness through nature. And that may have been a mistake in grammar, but I saw that as an adjective rather than a verb, in case anybody...
Probably I wanted to say raising consciousness, but as I'm not an English native speaker, I probably made some mistake, but so, both of them goes well.
Yes, each works.
Okay, good.
Anyway, to our guests. Yes, okay. First of all, Paula, would you just say hello so people see your face out there?
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here tonight with you and with Karuna, and I hope that you enjoyed this show. So it was some months or some time that we haven't talked, so I'm excited to be here and to share some things about nature and consciousness and into the wild, some funny news.
Yeah, and you are in Portugal, no?
Yes, I am in Portugal. I'm in Portugal. And even in Portugal, the winter has arrived.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's getting colder, and fortunately, it's starting to rain again. Because there was a drought and fires, so now Mother Nature is trying to bring balance again.
Oh, that's right. Good. That's always fun when nature brings balance. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
And you're here today with Karuna. And
hello.
And you look like you came from Norway there or something.
I wish. I came from Norway, from holidays in Norway, but I am in Portugal. I'm Portuguese. And I feel at the moment, after doing so amazing things in life, simply to restore people with their relationship with nature. So that's why I'm here to invite people to do simple, to make life slow down the rhythms, and go back to the earthly roots. So simple as that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, so I guess we have to assume that there are some wild places in Portugal. I wasn't aware of that. I knew about Lisbon and I knew about the Algarve, but I didn't know anything else about Portugal. So maybe we'll learn some things.
Yeah, maybe
actually I am at the moment living, and where the project is going to start, in a national park in Algarve, in the south of Portugal. Algarve is more well known, but this is Costa Vicentina, which is close to Sagres. I'm in Algesur, and here it's really, really wild, wild. This coast is amazing, very beautiful, and there's lots of alternative and more organic people living here, and people with this kind of living, so people who are aware of a more beautiful way of living.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Okay.
So I have in the past talked often with Paula because we know her from the Integral Conference in Hungary, but we haven't talked with you yet. And it was Paula to invite you into the conversation because she says you are collaborating in something which is called Into the Wild. So the question is, I mean, Paula, you are not wild. Maybe a wild artist.
Maybe sometimes she's wild. We don't know.
So you have a background in different things, no? And you are a professor in university and for art. And what
not university? Sorry, I'm a teacher at the Story Forest School.
Okay, so
I'm an outdoor leader teacher.
Okay, so but I was talking about Paula. Anyway, it's good. I wanted to ask you both. I mean, when you are in this natural school, then it's clear what brought you into this topic. But what brought you into this topic, Paula?
Yes, I'm passionate about eco-villages. Actually, since I wrote my PhD thesis, I included a visionary short story about an eco-village in Alentejo, that is the area where I live. And since then, I guess like the last 20 years, I've been searching for examples that are already on the ground of eco-villages like Damanhur in Italy, Findhorn in Scotland, or Tamera in Portugal, and recently Angsbacka in Sweden, to explore laboratories of future living. And in those laboratories, the majority is very much connected to nature. So the evolution of consciousness is a process that we do with ourselves, with each other, creating new we spaces, but also with the relationship we create with nature. And there I've done the eco-village design education training. Then I was very much involved also in the transition movement, and that is to bring nature into cities also and how to be sustainable. So these passions related to nature brought me to Karuna and this project. That is a very beautiful project that started at the Schumacher College, that is in the UK. It's one of the evolutionary academies right now, where lots of different approaches can be learned, either with the graduation course, post-graduation course, and short courses. And there you find also the same course that Karuna did at the Schumacher College. And she brought it on her backpack to Portugal and created and collected people that were interested and wanted to be part of the group. And now it is going to start in January in Portugal, the Portuguese version. Sorry. Sorry, I have been having a little cold, and we are going to start in January. So to sum it up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And so we come to you, Karuna. What made you begin that, and how does it work? How do you how did you plan that, and what will come out? We will have the whole hour to talk about how to reconnect people again with nature. No, I think this is on the basis of your project. Mm-hmm. You must unmute yourself. I muted you before because there was an echo. Go up to the window, and there is this microphone symbol, and you have to unmute yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had two inputs in my life, which brought me to the stage that I'm now. And the first one was in Brazil, where I lived for 1 year in this project from Trigueirinho in Minas Gerais, which is one of the 7 big healing centers in the world. Trigueirinho found with Findhorn in Scotland, and then he went to Brazil to start this Minas Gerais project, which is an amazing healing work. Anyway, that changed me inside and the way of being in life and seeing everything even more beautiful. And then I lived in many countries, in many places, and for personal reasons, I went to Schumacher College to do the Call of the Wild course. That's the foundation in outdoor leadership program. And I got a good relationship with Chris Salisbury, who is my teacher. And I proposed him to do the course in all the countries I have lived in. And because there are so many countries, we will have a lot to do from now on. So we are going to start in Portugal because I am Portuguese, and I think people need to restore their traditional way to connect. Although we are a lot of heart people, we need a little bit input in this country. But answering your question, it's also because it kind of makes me a little bit sad to see how we are allowing ourselves and our children to become so separated from our earthly roots and forgetting our symbiotic relationship with the earth and its systems. So we belong to nature in the same way like the trees and the birds. We need to physically, emotional, psychology in all our different bodies. We need to be in touch with it throughout all our life in order to be happy, in order to survive, in order to have a higher level of our spiritual development as well. So it's a must. It's really, and now I really feel like a guidance. I'm receiving message. I'm being guided to invite people for this experience. It's not a choice. Somewhere in the sky, called me to do this. I was asked to do this, and somehow Chris is a very busy man because there is a lot of projects on Wildwise, but for some special reason, I think he felt my enthusiastic. He agreed to come to Portugal and give the first course here because this is such a deep course that more than one teacher should be involved on it. It's too beautiful and too concerned about so many different subjects that we are going to be 3 teachers to give this course here. And so Chris agreed, and then the next one will be in Germany, then Latvia, and then Brazil, because I love Brazil as well. So this is the proposal for the coming years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Well, that's going to keep you busy.
By the way, on the event page in the Wisdom Factory and then / Paula Soares and Karuna, you will find the download for the program. So you can study in detail if you are inclined to do some of these courses. But this is not actually to promote the course. We want to talk about it. What is the benefit? And you already said it. We people are too much disconnected from nature.
That's what I wanted to say, because it seems like for centuries now, the thrust of human development into modernity has been to separate us from nature, to put more and more distance between us, so that we get this illusion that we are not natural creatures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes us unhappy because we are totally disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. It's understandable.
We cannot go away from these dynamics of the living world itself. We cannot escape that.
No, we can't.
We know that, but many people think they can. Huh?
And I want to say also, though, that as the centuries, each of these moves toward isolation, just being able to wear shoes, or to have really warm clothes that could really take care of you in the winter. You know, all of these movements were welcomed and necessary, and we can be proud of these achievements. But there was always a cost, because
Exactly.
we have shoes, so we never go barefoot. You know.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I guess that also this film that is almost a classic, that is called Into the Wild, the film by Sean Penn, based also on the book with the same name, is interesting because it shows us that while we got so civilized, apparently we got at the same point so disconnected that we forgot to be able to survive. In nature, if somebody would put us out in nature during 21 days, I don't know how many of us would be able to find water, drinkable water, or to create a shelter, or to identify which plants can we eat when we are in the forest that are not poisoned, basic things like that. We got really disconnected from it. So this is one side. On the other side, we all, I guess, each one of us had a problem in the country recently related with climate change. You had terrible earthquakes in Italy. In Portugal, we had the fires, and now it's starting to rain, and it promises that the rain will be very heavy in the future. So I guess almost, and people that are listening probably too, have episodes of the fires, the rain. So Mother Nature is reacting, and we have perhaps to learn to communicate again in a more harmonious way to nature. And therefore, this, of course, is a possibility or an invitation for people to go back to nature, to connect to ourselves, to the others, and to the environment, and to be able to do those basic things that humanity had in the past, but that we forgot in a way. And that can help us to be much, much happier. To stay, if you stay 1 hour in nature or half an hour in nature, it changes all around. Sorry, yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, do you have a checklist? You know, the signs of if you're suffering from a nature deficit. You know, what are the symptoms
Oh,
of?
yeah, I know.
Mhm.
I know that you get nervous and you get sort of unconnected to, you know, and another sign, no, I want to say that. Another sign is that children don't like any more fresh milk. I mean, milk from a cow. they don't even know how a cow looks like. No, they know milk comes out of a package. I mean, where are we now? Okay, now I give to you. You were the guests, not me. And Karuna, I unmuted you again. So if when you want to speak, you have to unmute you. Okay.
I had the luck to meet John Young, who was the pioneer of the wilderness schools in America, because he came to Schumacher College doing the work. And he was a teacher at school. And he did a survey to ask, because we realized that most of the children and the teenagers were not happy at all. Really, really unhappy and depressed. So he did a very deep survey about it. And then he realized that he had to do something to change it. That's what he shared with us on our first session of storytelling with him. And he said, wow, I have to change, to go out of this traditional education system, and I'm going to start an outdoor school and, you know, just put these kids in nature, or at least teach them outside. That's what I'm doing in Portugal now. We are starting a school here as well. So he did it, and that was the beginning of all this classic chain of the wilderness schools, and England followed it after. Yeah. So this course is inspired more on the wilderness than actually on forest school.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to share, I know a person in Germany. He, for many years until he went into pension, he was a primary school kindergarten teacher and the kindergarten was in the woods, always. If there was rain or snow or whatever, they were out in the woods. And he says these children, they are incredible, you know.
Yeah. I'm working in a school like that here.
The problem is not the children, but the parents, you know, who don't want their children. Oh God.
Not in this school. The parents are amazing here. The parents are very good. So we are on the path. We are already on the path.
No, I talked about general parents.
That's
in
true.
general, they wouldn't like to
That's true.
overprotect their children.
That's true.
Especially Italian parents.
Also.
Oh yeah. Not American ones though.
So what would you do? What do you do on these retreats? What, you just go out and tell everybody, no, we don't give you food, you have to find your own food, or what do you do? How does it work?
So the course is based on helping people to survive outdoors, but also on personal self-development. So that's why we have these titles like orientation, where you follow the system of the medicine wheel, how to orientate wherever you are. And then you have hands, so you learn how to do all your tools, all your furniture. And then, because to be a make agent in the world or to do whatever you wish to do, you need to be in balance, you need to be happy, you need to be, so that's why we have also models like the heart, which I'm going to propose with Paula. We are going to be the teachers for this workshop, and we have leadership. So the course is also designed to help people to stand out, to go out of the ships and you know, and to do whatever they feel they should do. More important, to follow their life mission. Because most people, they do something they like, but they are not actually following their life mission. They are not in silence to listen what they should do now. And no fear. To help people not to have fear. You know, so it's much more deep than just wilderness and it's really to prepare people to live in a higher consciousness level, to which we are already living in.
So that sounds interesting. How do you do it? Do you sit in the rain and meditate?
You sit on the rain and you do nothing. You just do nothing. You just listen.
Okay.
Listen, is a powerful.
There is a workshop which is awareness. It's difficult for me to say this word. Awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And there, of course, we work with all the sense, and we have this principle which is called sit spots, that you simply sit in nature.
Okay. I didn't understand what you said. You have
sit spot. So it's one of the exercises, if we can say, one of the proposals to the people on one of the workshops, the one called awareness, that people simply do sit in nature.
Sitting, no? Meditation.
Okay.
And John Yang really call it sit spot.
sit spots.
Because it's cute for the children to just say sit spots, so they know, they just sit there, yeah.
So, Paula, what is your role in all of that and what you are doing as a collaborator?
Yes, I work on the area that is connected to the rising of consciousness through nature. So I will do part of the heart model and the leadership model. Mm-hmm. The heart model is connected also, for instance, to the Council of All Beings, where we do some exercises that permit us to connect to the other life forms that are not human, that exist in nature, and through those exercises done in the forest, it is possible to have a different perspective outside of the human realm from the other. So to see how does a stone look at us, or how does a tree, how does an animal. So to be able to see the other perspectives that we do from integral, but not only applied to the human being, but to the other, all the council of all beings that are not human, for instance, is an amazing exercise that gives the opportunity to feel really connected to the web of life in a way. That is part of it, in the heart part. And in the leadership model, I recently made this course with Peter Mary, the transformational leadership course that I recommend also, by the way. So nowadays we do have lots of new resources to apply, social resources and techniques that we can experiment to figure out how can a leader, or what is expected to be the features of a leader in the 21st century, in the middle of this huge change towards a new humanity that in integral we call second tier, that other people call fifth dimensional. So I will be doing that approach, the connection between consciousness and nature through some of those interesting exercises. Some of them you can find also in the book, Thinking Like a Mountain, for instance. Well, it is exactly this, being in nature and doing our rising of consciousness. It is different to be in a room. It may be a very beautiful room, or to be really in nature, either in the forest or by the ocean, where we are going to be in several of those models, where we are really close to the Atlantic coast, Mother Nature. It's really being in those places by itself is already liberating of all those walls that people create when we are in urban environments. And so it's easier to get to our essence, to get rid of all those walls and get closer to our essence and start to work from that. So it's magic. It is magic in a way. It is creative. It is related to consciousness and to nature. And all this together will be my approach within the course.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, what your background in integral might add to the course, and you're just telling us. Thank you.
Good.
Yes, there is another exercise that I sometimes also love to do. That is the evolutionary remembering. That is such a beautiful exercise where you can go from the beginnings of the cosmos to the beginnings of organic life, and to recreate it by a guided meditation in nature. So it's really to embody, in a way, the spiral dynamics of evolution through all the creatures and beings that have been there. So it's really an embodied way of getting aware, embodying it through this exercise. So not only to talk about it, but going through this guided meditation in nature and recreating what's happened on the planet since it started. So it's performance also, in a way. It's ritual, and it is experiencing it in all the cells of our bodies, in a way, to make it happen, to make it alchemical in a way. So,
yeah. So it's very experiential for the person, for the single person, but it's also a group experience, I believe. No, it's what I am so fascinated by when I go to this sort of group meetings. Let's say, the content is one thing, but to be together with the others and live this experience together with the others, it's amazing. Can you share a little bit about the experience you have of groups doing similar things?
Do you want me to talk about?
Yes, who wants?
Yeah. Yes, I found it. Yes, I'm very excited about it. So because, as I told you, in lots of those eco-villages I've been visiting and living during some time in, there are, for instance, forum. There are several techniques that people use. One is, for instance, forum or council, World Cafe. There are many ways. the nonviolent communication, circling, lots of those things that many people already know. In most of the eco-villages, people select some that are more appropriate for the type of people that live there, or for the type of project that is there. But all have a really deep approach for this. For instance, this conference in Sweden about eco-villages was wonderful. There were like 500 people. But there were, at the same time, you had the moments of the whole group, but you had each day, you had a council of sharing, a sharing council. So the people divided into groups of 5 or 6, those 500, and each one had moments of sharing, of deep sharing, because when you are in a huge group, oh, I don't like the breakfast, oh, this conference was too long, or that, whatever. You have this group that you come back to it always, and you share during some time your experience. So you feel that you are nurtured, even though you are in a huge group, you feel that there is something that is nurturing. For instance, this, I felt it was really interesting to make it on a big scale, also the small groups. Other things that I think that work also very good, the transition movement also has lots of techniques to work even on co-creating events. So it's not like keynote speakers that come, so that it is hierarchical in a way, that those are even more important or less important, but that it is co-created. Everybody is invited to bring what are their gifts, and those gifts are connected in a really organic way. So it is really to listen to the other in a more organic way, not in a hierarchical way. That means to develop empathy, of course, to feel when does a member of the group need more attention or less attention, to create environments that are nurturing so people can open up and they needn't defend themselves. So in most of those eco-villages, you do have the opportunity to experience that, and they do this each day of their lives. So I'm very a fan of visiting evolved eco-villages, because they are laboratories of the future where those things happen each day. It's so exciting. Yeah, I could go on for hours, but because it's a theme that but those are some examples. But also Karuna works with the children also in this magic forest school. She works right now. They have really under the trees, the kids sit under the trees each day.
Yeah, let her talk about it. That would be nice. Unmute yourself and talk about it.
Yeah.
I came to Portugal after doing the course at Call of the Wild at Schumacher College in England. I came to Portugal with the idea of starting a forest school here. And then an English girl heard about it and contacted me. So we start this project in September, and it's called Story Forests. So it is only 4 months, but it's working very well. We have already lots of parents, and today was our first Christmas party at the school, and it's amazing. It's in a beautiful farm, and all the classes are outside. Of course, we have Plan B, but the base camp is outside. And we have also a big stage. We have also a small intimate theater where we come to share how the kids are feeling at the end of the day. How was the day? What was the magic moment of the day? So it's a different approach, especially to the education in Portugal, and is running very well so far. Yeah.
I was wondering if there was an ideal size for an eco-village. Do you need a dozen people?
Or for a
50?
school like this, for instance.
Or a school like this too,
Yeah, how big are the groups?
How many can you manage where all the good stuff happens?
Well, we are already about 35 kids. Yes, so in 4 months is very good. And we are aiming not to go much bigger. So we will keep maximum 40 kids in this school, yes.
Maximum 40.
And is it recognized so that the kids going only in your school, or do they have to go to the normal school too?
No, they go only to this school. They go only to this school because there is story force, so there is some literacy going on as well, but more through games and stories.
Mm-hmm.
But the main subjects are concerned more of forest school, yes.
And what is the relationship with the formal education system in Portugal?
Well, the formal education system doesn't take in consideration the kid, the child, or whoever, as a human being with as a different bodies that we have. You know, so they don't take in consideration our emotion, our spiritual, our monad, our higher levels of function. They don't take that in consideration. They have a curriculum, and plus they don't take in consideration the different temperaments that you can have. You know, it's not very. If we close our eyes and think for a moment, it cannot be a system that you give the same input to all the kids, because we are also different. We have different ways, different backgrounds, different life experience, different temperamentos. So all that is taking in consideration in our schools and any other alternative school as well.
So do the kids end up with some kind of certificate, some kind of I don't know, degree or diploma that the public system recognizes as okay?
Why do you need it? No?
Curious.
Why?
No? Yeah.
Why?
Thank you.
Does it make you happier?
Oh,
I have all kinds of degrees. Did they make me happier?
No, what I find so interesting is really embracing a tree, you know, or lying on the grass. I mean, now in winter, maybe not, and under the rain, but sitting in the rain and listening to I would put an umbrella on me, but still sitting there and listening to the rain. When we had big rains, we were sitting inside, but listening outside, the water running. I love that, you know, it's just wonderful. It's much better than to listen to it on a CD, as many people do.
Yeah. I was living in a project called Crescendo in Brazil as well, another project that belongs to Trigueirinho. And Pam, this woman, she invited lots of children who had no parents. So we were all living in a very big farm, and she welcomes anyone to work there. And as soon as you arrive, they ask you, do you want to work with the minerals, vegetables, the children, the people, or the vegetable world? Exactly. So after this experience, you cannot go back to the traditional system.
I believe that.
Let me ask you a similar question, Paula. The eco-villages, I presume, are of different sizes. Some are smaller and some are larger. And is there a really good number where things seem to work really the best? I would presume that if there's too many people, you don't know everyone as an individual, and maybe some of the good things of being more intimately associated with people might be lost, but you may know more about that.
Yeah, I think, for instance, in Damanhur, Italy, there are about 1,000 people that live in the community, but the community is built divided into nucleos. So inspired in the traditional Italian family nucleo. So people live like in groups of 14 to 26 people in a nucleo, in a house. and but they choose. So you choose which area you want to work in. Like if you are want to work in art or education or spirituality or whatever, you choose the nucleus. So people are divided. They live together with people that have similar aims. So that means that when you are having your lunch or dinner with the group you live in, you have several similar goals, and you can exchange them. Then there are those are the ways they manage to live. 1,000 people, but then in groups of 14 to 26, and of course there are moments where all come together. Several activities where they can come together, for instance. So I think that works. 1,000. That it is the largest, one of the largest eco-villages in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
In Findhorn, it works. Because each eco-village, the beauty of the eco-villages is they are so different as we are different, because they have the colors of the founders that created the eco-villages. So, but basically saying, I think in the future, the groups of people living together should not be too big. So more than 1,000 is already a very huge number to have quality, to be able to share, really deeply share with the others what's going on, to divide into themes where you are working on. But for instance, effectively, Damanhur is it has its own currency.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. How do they finance themselves? How do they live?
Yes, so most in Damanhur, for instance, they have they create their jewelry. They have beautiful jewelry, for instance, and they have amazing cheese, even nice wine. So but they also offer courses, so people go there also to get information about Damanhur and the course. They have the music of the plants. That is something amazing. So they invented a device that you connect to the plant, and the vibration of the voice, the plants responded to the vibration of the voice. So you can have concerts in the forest with the music of the plants. It's something. So they have things like that. That is absolutely amazing. They have many ateliers for the artists and the temples that they created. So there's a whole community that works in arts. They have other nucleus where they do experiments only with how to build houses in the most sustainable ways. So you do have a nuclear where you have all types of houses with different materials to be more sustainable. So you do have, it's really a laboratory of the future. Like here in Portugal, for instance, we do have Tamera, and they have a solar eco-village. And they also have the water retention landscapes that now for Portugal with the droughts, it's so important to see as a model. It's today there was a publishing on this example exactly. So it's a permaculture approach to overcome problems of droughts. So basically the eco-villages and the global eco-village network normally is connected to 4 approaches. So that is the social, the cultural, the economic, and the ecological. And it works in all those areas. So there are places where you train in being in community, where you train to live with nature, but you use also the economic is also important, different ways of economic approaches. With different currencies, new currencies, local currencies, with the exchange of services instead of money sometimes, but also with regular. So there is a huge variety of experiments going on. It depends on the founders of each of the eco-villages, which areas are more revealed. All of them have those approaches, those 4 approaches: cultural, social, economic, and ecologic. But some eco-villages, sorry, for instance, in Siebenlinden in Germany, there is they're very good in doing straw bale houses. For instance, they were the first to build straw bale houses with 2 floors or more than 2 floors. Or in Auroville in India, they have the Matri Mandir, that is a beautiful, beautiful temple of humanity, where there are no pictures of any religion, so that people from all over the world can connect to any transcendental way of worship without having the symbols that may separate people. So some work on integration of different types of spirituality. Others focus more on the sustainability or on the social. They make, for instance, tech in Germany also, they work a lot on the social with the forums. Sorry, I try not to bring the cold up. It's sleeping there. Okay. So it depends on, but for instance, tech is very much known for the forum. That is a very interesting way of you sit in a circle and each one goes in front of the circle and you work out, you present what you are feeling and take the feeling to the limit in front of the group, supported by the group. And this, in a regular basis, creates deep relationships in the community also. Yes, some of those examples here. I could go on.
Things going on. I'm wondering for Karuna, do you envision something like this coming out of your work, which you are now creating, educating new consciousness in children when they grow up? Would you think that you might create such a village?
Totally. I think most of these children are already not indigo children. I think they are already crystal children, or even on a higher level, because they are very much aware about all these environmental issues and how to live in a more sustainable way. So these children are already, they have already another chip on them. You know, they come with another preparation, to adapt to another way of living. So yes, both. That's why I'm trying to be guided to do the guidance both with the small children as well as I'm inviting the adults. So to do this combination of these two segmentation of age, yes, in order to create more happier adults in the future, so we don't have to do much work with them after.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah,
I can imagine you and Paula, you know, just sitting down and talking about plans for big things to come, describing communities, figuring out how they could work together. And
they should plan something for our house, because we don't really know what to do with our big house.
We have a really big house, folks. Yeah.
Not 1,000 people. Yeah, but for all the time living together, 25 is too much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just an idea, in case something comes across your mind. You wanted to ask her. I saw you wanted to ask something. No?
I've forgotten already.
Oh, God. Alzheimer's? Or what is that?
No, interruptions. Life moves on.
We have still 10 minutes. And so I would invite you again, talk about what you are planning and where people can participate. Yeah. So where they can get in contact with you, and you might say, we might do a podcast out of this, so we don't see the names explicitly, your addresses, the website addresses, and where you want to people to go to find out. We want to wisdomfactory.net to the page of Paula Soares and Karuna, and find out there the program. You can download it there, but you can certainly also directly contact them.
Yeah, and I'll be writing timestamps so that there'll be an easy way for people to look through to find out where they want to know.
Yeah, and you know what? For these timestamps, for you, all these names you have named during this talk,
it was all in some foreign language.
Yeah,
I don't
send
know.
them to us so we can write them down.
The names of these people and these places.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good. So up to you.
Yes, we will send you all the links to some of the eco villages, to the site of the Into the Wild Portugal, where there you can find also lots of information about this. There is also on Facebook the Into the Wild. You can also look at Into the Wild Portugal also on Facebook. Also on the Academia de Sofia, we put also the information there. That is also a place you can look at to figure out what's going on, what will be the next event. And the first model is going to start in January in the south of Portugal, where Karuna is right now, with Mother Nature and the Atlantic coast in its essence in this region, and it is quite wild, or quite natural compared to other places in Europe. So it's really the environment there is a magic invitation to start with, and we are going to have this first session in January, right, Karuna?
Yes, on the 26th of January. So all the workshops has the duration of 3 days. Yes, so we are going to meet on the 26th and goes till the 29th. It's all 29th of January. So it's always from Friday lunchtime till Monday lunchtime, and we have 6 meetings. And you have all the information on our website, and you can also see on Wisdom Factory website for now. So we would love for people who are inspired by these themes, who would like to participate, who would like to come as teacher, to come as participants, to come with new ideas, to give help in whatever ways you feel, and please get in touch with us.
Very good. It's exciting. Yeah.
Well, I only was thinking, when it's 3 days and people come from far away and have to come 6 times. Oh. I don't know. And then the language. What language? English?
No, the course is going to be given in English, and actually in Germany we are going to do the course in 1 week, and then we have some time off each other to fill whatever has been given, and then we have another week, so it's more compact. That's the reason why we are going to start in Portugal like this is also to first to allow the possibility of people who are working to come, and second, with this flights not so expensive anymore, I mean, it's not a big deal also to come for 6. And most of the people are here anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to Portugal? Would you like to join us on the 26th? You are not far in Italy.
It's easy to fall in love for Portugal. It's easy to fall in love for Portugal. Yes.
Yeah, now we could even think about it, because the shows we have now on Thursdays, not on Friday.
Yeah.
For Fridays, that's the good.
Yeah, Friday till Monday, it's easier for people to join. To have a long weekend. Yeah.
Long weekend. Okay, so what is, let's say, the takeaway, or what is the most important thing which you haven't said yet? It can be something also completely different, but something is on your heart and you want to bring it over. Will you begin first? Let's the man do first. Huh?
Okay.
Oh, well, I've been talking to 3 ladies here right now, and I feel a gender shortage on my part. I think if I were talking with men, we might have different kinds of questions. Not saying they'd be better questions; they'd just be different kind of questions. And I hope this isn't a lopsided, feminine approach.
She has learned with a man, no? The English guy, the name I have forgotten. So
Yeah.
I don't think you need to be preoccupied.
Is
it only because you don't like to work in the nature and cut the trees or things like that?
I like cappuccino and a newspaper. Yeah, okay.
That's his part in nature, you know. Oh,
I beg your pardon.
These Americans.
I run the fire. I get the firewood.
Great.
I run the saw. That's nature.
Yeah,
It's a very natural saw. Yeah.
Well, I'm here in the countryside for almost 30 years, and I have done everything. I had sheep, and I had a chicken, and I had a whole vegetable garden. We still have olive trees, and so I really know what it is to live in nature and to work with nature. And I love to sit, for instance, when I had beans, these little ones, and to sit between the rows and collect the beans sitting on the floor, or collecting stones out of the earth. I really love the contact with earth. And now I do it with flower pots mainly. because of the drought, I don't do any vegetable garden anymore, because 3 or 4 years ago it was a severe drought here, and we didn't have any water anymore, and all the plants. And since then, I'm sort of discouraged. I don't want to have it again. And this year would have been the same thing.
It's a big problem. Yeah.
That's it. So that was mine. Now to you.
But you can go through the fields and she'll find you stuff to eat wherever you go.
Great. Great. Yeah.
I think it's important that people are touched, and I would like to pass this message as well about gratefulness, to be grateful wherever you are, whatever you do, to be grateful, you know. And sometimes we are so busy with things that we think are important, that we consider that are important, and we forgot the beauty of the simple things, you know. So to have this find, this gratefulness, this connection, that's what I would like to, like a fairy, to touch people like this, with this sprinkle like this, yeah.
Sprinkle me with stardust, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I have something on my heart that is to connect nature and integral and art. So I have a little quotation from this Journal of Visionary Culture by Alex Gray.
Oh, yes.
And this is on nature and human. And here at the beginning, he says, "The artist blooms cultural flowers for the world, so beings can gather the pollen of beauty into their hives and lives." And it has this beautiful painting. So
he's a wonderful artist.
Yes. So that was on my heart to wrap it up in a bit, to connect nature and consciousness and integral and everything. Yes, that was
wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you who has watched now live and who will watch later.
I got to say, you know, I do like women. I really do.
And
we also like men.
Yeah, we are not the hardcore gender fighters.
Okay.
No, life is too precious to spend the energy on this stuff of, you know. Anyway, I don't want to go into these topics. I write something about this in the-wisdom-factory.com. There I write my rants about what is going on.
Some of them are pretty good, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Anyway, that's not about us. It was about nature. And I hope people will join you, if not now in Portugal, then later in Germany. And where was it? England and Brazil?
Brazil, and we hope in Norway also someday.
Well, my middle name is Ole, you know, so I will fit in. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, and see you next week. Bye bye.
See you next week. Bye bye. Thank you.
Oh, great.